Hello, welcome to Moxie Journal. My name is Calix, or I go by Moxie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I'm doing a VR to my friend Wilderness Whispers ASMR, and she created this hashtag about rock hounding and stories. She connects rocks or crystals or gems or trinkets with decks and tells the stories. There are 4 prompts, and part of the reason it's taken me so long to get this filmed is I've had a really hard time narrowing my choices and stories down to just 4 decks to fit the 4 prompts, and spoiler alert, I didn't actually manage that, so I'm going to tell a few more stories and show a few more decks and quite a few trinkets and rocks as we go along. So I'll put the prompts, and of course I'll link her original video and some of the other videos that have done this response. I just think this is a really fun hashtag, and I would love to see yours, so you can join me being late to this party. All right, so here's what it is. She has some prompts that are asking us about the connection between some stones or trinkets and the decks that we have. And I just love this because, well, I mean, we tell stories, right? That's what we do with our cards, whether we use them for spiritual reflection or divination or any of the other ways, right? Just to play, we look at the stories, we look at the art, we connect them, we're meaning-making machines. And so what I have for you is my responses to her prompts. All right, so we'll get started. The first prompt is, what is a deck and rock you love that you stumbled on totally unexpectedly that stopped you in your tracks? And again, when she says rock, she says you can take a rock or a crystal or any object you find meaningful. So the first one that I have to share with you is right over here. This is the deck, Connected and Free, and particularly it's the Édition Française, and please forgive my horrible French pronunciation. I do read French and I love it, but I am from the South in the southeastern United States, and I had French teachers who were also from the southeast of the United States, and we are not known for being able to pronounce things very well. I hope I'm not totally butchering it. I'll do the best I can. All right, that said, those caveats, I think French is beautiful. My parents actually spoke French around me when I was a little kid because I could read and write and spell when I was very young, like 4, 3.5, 4. I started spelling and writing. And so spelling was not something my parents could do around me. So they basically used French to speak in code. My father was the president of this thing called Alliance Française in our town. It's just a group of Francophiles. And so anyway, so French has always been around me, and I studied in high school and college. And when I first got, let me back up. When I first saw this deck, I saw it in English, and Connected and Free. It's by Lauren Aletta, and I'll pull it out. This is my rock that goes with it. I'll tell you the story of the rock in a minute. And when I first saw this, I think it was Don Michelle's channel. I can't actually remember. It was a while ago. And these cards were just beautiful. The artwork was beautiful. Oops. And I was new to collecting tarot, and I just had to have it. Well, I had seen the English version, so it starts off, these cards have these beautiful chakra cards. I don't know very much about chakras at all, but I love the colors, of course. And it is an oracle deck, and I just loved these cards. Plaisir, abondance, cœur, ralentissez. And I went to try and buy it. It was out of print in English, but then I saw that I could order the French deck, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you can get cards in other languages? Like, I know that sounds like a silly thing to have not quite realized, but I hadn't really realized it. I mean, I guess that I thought that there were cards in other places where other people spoke the languages, but I didn't realize I could have a deck that was in another language, which again, I know maybe you don't have such a compartmentalized brain, but sometimes things occur to me like that way after the fact. And this is the card that when I saw it, I had to pause. I had to go look it up. Like I wanted this card. I have a massive thing for the ocean creatures, particularly octopus and whales. I just love them. And so when I found this deck, and I found that not only could I get this beautiful art, but I could get it in French. Oh, like that was such just a revelation. And about the same time, maybe a little while after, my partner and I celebrated our 20th anniversary together, and we went to Nice, France, which is in the south of France, and our anniversary is in December 27th, and which is after Christmas. It's not usually a beautiful time to go to some beach places, but it was a beautiful time to go to the south of France. It was very mild. If you don't know, Nice has been a tourist destination for hundreds of years. The whole city is like a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it's been a tourist site like since it was part of the Kingdom of Sardinia or something. And about 15 years ago, my partner and I, we were triathletes, and we did a couple of half iron triathlons, and we dreamed of doing a full Ironman. Now, we never actually did it, but the one we were training for and looked at was one that was held in Nice. And so we had dreamed and looked up Nice, and you start off and you run across this rocky beach, and you do the swim in the open water, and then you come back, and then you bike all over. And Nice is sort of at the foothills of the mountains there, right? Actually, when we were there was an avalanche warning, like for Nice, which was fascinating because it's like that close to the mountains. And then after you finish the bike, you come back and you run up and down the Promenade Anglaise. So we had dreamed of that. We never got there for triathlon, but then we got there for our anniversary, and we were sitting out on the beach. And the beach it's not like a super sandy beach. It's covered in these smooth, almost like river rocks. And in this one, I literally stumbled over it. Like I tripped on it on the beach, and then I picked it up, and I just loved this spiral. I loved it so much that I actually, I'm knocking rocks over on the other side of my desk. Here's the journal I had with me that day, and I did a sketch in my journal of this rock, right? So it just was just really wonderful. And I didn't have this deck with me when I was in Nice, but when I came home, and I had to have this rock. So I did actually stand with my feet in the ocean and ask Mother Nature if it was okay if I relocated this rock, and I felt that it was. So I don't take rocks from every single place I go, and I always ask when I do, but and certainly I don't from any sacred sites. Like I would never take anything from like the places like Pele or anything that's sacred in those kinds of ways. I just wouldn't do it. But this was just a small rock on the beach, and Mother Nature said it was okay. So I hope I didn't break any rules, metaphysical or not, or French laws. But this one came home with me, and I have just loved it. And I use it when I got home and I had these cards, and I just keep it. These just match. They're wonderful. It's all about that celebration, this magic, this connection. And one of the things I love about my cards that is maybe a little bit different from some people is that I do love to travel, and I do like to have cards that represent places I've been and experiences I've had, but also they're aspirational too. They're connected to places I want to go or cultures I want to study. And so this one is both. This one is definitely connected to a place I have been and studied. I've studied the art, I've studied the poetry, I've studied the culture, the food, all of it. And and I have been, and I definitely want to go back. So, and the book is great. It is in French, which I love, but Google Translate is also my friend. So I do keep these together. One of the things I love about these big boxes sometimes, especially when they have the deck in a box inside of it. I know some people think that's a waste with packaging, but for me it's really perfect because I can keep the cards contained and protected. I can keep the book. I'm glad the book is the bigger size. I don't really like it when books get too small, but then there's room for crystals and trinkets inside. So that's my first one, and I'll try and be a little faster with some of my others. But I have a similar answer for the second. So that was a response to what is a deck and rock you love that you stumbled on totally unexpectedly that stopped you in your tracks. But it also, in fact, all of these could answer the second prompt. The second prompt is, what is a deck and rock that you treasure because of where and how you found it? And sort of all of these match that. That's really where the meaning is, where I found them, how I connected them, and what they mean. So the second one is another travel with my partner, and she and I last summer. So our 20th anniversary was 2 years ago, and then last summer she spent the 6 weeks in Ireland. She's just finishing law school, and she was there for 6 weeks of studying constitutional law and the comparison between the Irish Constitution, the American Constitution, and legal things. Anyway, she was there for a very long time, and she loved Ireland. In fact, one of the reasons I kind of tease about going to see her there was that I really was making sure she came back. And while we were there, we did some wonderful tours, and we went to some sacred places in Ireland that I had dreamed about going, since I was in middle school art history and archaeology. World history class, right? I think of it as archaeology, but I didn't take archaeology till college. Anyway, so Newgrange was one of those places. So I have a couple of pieces here. Newgrange, this is a little goddess figurine from Molly Reamer at Bridget's Grove. She's made out of resin, and she has these spirals, which are part of the carvings on the rocks at Newgrange, and part of Celtic history and stuff, art history. And while we were there, we got this Sacred Ireland Celtic Moon deck, and actually this is a sticker that I peeled off of a flagpole in Galway. It's not tear. It's not like super sticky. And these cards are all about sacred sites in Ireland. And it is I have them upside down. It is, and again, it's an oracle card. Look at these beautiful sacred sites. And we pulled one every day while we were there, and we read about it. We went to some of these, not all of them, because we didn't have just all the time in the world to go, but we did go to Newgrange. We went to Brunaboyne. We took a really great tour from Dublin. So we were on a bus to the sacred site, went to Tara, and Bridget is a deity that I work with and love. She's part of my heart. Anyway, so we went on this tour with a historian, a woman who had taught history and was now doing tours, and the whole way, it was like a couple hours on the bus, she was teaching us the history of the Celtic and pre-Celtic peoples, and why the site was sacred, and about what we were going to see and experience. And it was really just fascinating. It totally, oh, look at that beautiful spiral. So as I said, the spiral is very much part of the art and the carvings. And there we go. This is Newgrange. Like, I actually stood over here and I just had to stand there. I actually took my shoes off and stood in the grass and just had to stand there with tears streaming down my face because it was so powerful. It was so cool to actually be there. Newgrange was built like 1,000 years before the pyramids, the great Egyptian pyramids, which is amazing. And so, anyway, so this deck means so much to me because of where I got it, how it was connected with my beautiful partner and our time together, and also making sure that she came back with me back home. Again, so this is the Celtic Moon Sacred Ireland cards. And I do actually, so there's a trinket with my sweet goddess statue there, but there's this fun little painted rock that we bought for like £1 from on Inishmore, which is a little island off the coast, and bought it from a little artisan. She had quite a few little painted things, and I thought, oh well, this is great. I'll support. I mean, this is obviously super touristy, right? She just used a little paint pen and did the spirals on a rock that's just from there, but I love it anyway. So those two go together, and I've got just 2 more little trinkets. I do love to travel, and these stay on my altar. They go with several different cards. They aren't paired specifically with the deck, but this is a little piece of Larimar, which is a blue stone that is found only in the Dominican Republic. And again, our anniversary is in December, so we went to the Dominican Republic one year, and I got this little stone. It's made to go on a necklace, but I don't put it on a necklace. I just have it as a charm. And this is a little coin. It's a reproduction of a Roman coin. And on the same trip where we were in Ireland, we went to Italy, and I bought this little coin. So these little trinkets, they go with all my cards, so kind of depending on the readings, I put them in there, and I just had to share. All right, so moving right along. That was prompt number 2, but again, that one kind of flows through everything. Prompt number 3 is, what is a deck and rock that you thought wouldn't be your style, but turned out to be very meaningful to you? So here's a story. As you may know if you've been on my channel. If this is the first time you're coming to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll put in the description some links to my recent trip to Egypt. It was quite an adventure, my trip. I was there when things got a little crazy, and I actually had to leave the country only halfway through my trip. But while I was there, I had a wonderful, absolutely amazing time, and I had wanted to buy a deck that was Egyptian. I didn't know if I could find a deck that was in Arabic or one that had any Egyptian art or mythology. I had brought a deck of Egyptian sacred animals with me that I had bought here that was connected to Egyptian mythology. So I was also kind of looking for trinkets or something that would match with that. And then when I was there, I went to a bookstore called Aboudi, and this is just like, look how touristy this is, but I love it. Egypt, where it all begins, and the Egyptians are very proud of their culture and history, and if you ask them, every single important engineering, scientific, spiritual feat ever started in Egypt. So really, truly, when they say where it all begins, that's what they believe. And this is the scarab, which is the goddess of, the god Khepri, who rolls the sun across the sky, and these are hieroglyphics. Anyway, so this is just a little bag, and I did find a bookstore, as I said, called Aboudi. And look, I saved this bag. And I think this is supposed to be Egyptology books in Luxor. Luxor, there are temples there right on the Nile. It's beautiful. It's about in the center of the country. There's a lot of farming there. They grow bananas, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. Anyway, and it's the last place I got to go in Egypt before I had to fly home. I was supposed to spend another week or so going further up the Nile to Aswan, and I didn't get to do that. So Aboudi was actually, the bookstore was actually my last chance of of buying cards. I didn't know that when I bought these, so they kind of take on an extra piece. But I ended up finding this Egyptian Lenormand deck. And I don't read Lenormand. This is the only Lenormand deck I have. And so I bought it, and it's a, the Eye of Horus. Actually, one is the Eye of Horus, and one is the Eye of... Ooh, I'll have to look, but one faces one way and one faces the other way. Anyway, so these are Lenormand cards, and they're specifically Egyptian. This is from Schiffer. I probably could have gotten it at home, but I didn't. I bought it while I was there. And again, I don't read... Oh, the book is a little shiny. I'll put it over here. I don't read Lenormand, and I don't know if this is going to be my style, but I just thought these were so pretty. And again, I've only read a little bit of the book since I've been back. I've just been back month and a half, maybe 2 months. And these are, again, Lenormand cards, but they have Egyptian connections, right? All of these pieces, right? This is like the boat I was supposed to get to go on. Obviously there's a ring, but here's like a mummy, and this is a traditional Egyptian house, ancient house, the trees, the scroll, the clouds, the snake. Oh, the snake is in all kinds of Egyptian art. One of the things that I love is there's actually a carving that's thousands of years old of a snake, and then there's a pharaoh just sitting writing like on one of the bumps, like it's a bus or something, right? We have sarcophagus and letter. So I love this deck. I love the colors. It is totally right for me, and maybe someday I will actually read Lenormand. And then the stone that goes with this, and again, if you've seen my video that I made about my trip, you'll know that one of the most meaningful experiences I had is that I hiked up Mount Sinai, also known as Mount Horeb, in the dark, in the pitch black, like from 1 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. And I was at the summit when the sun rose. And I was, up here on the top of this mountain where Moses lived for 40 days. And it was one of the hardest physical things I've done. I really, speaking of triathlon, I really did dig deep back into my sort of mental and physical trainings and experiences to keep going. I had a sort of, I guess, macho thing about not paying to get a camel. There you could pay about £100 to have a camel rescue you and take you to the top if you got too tired. And I did consider it, but I didn't. I made it all the way to the top. I hiked. And this is just a rock. And I picked it up on my way back down. And it is a little bit, like a pyramid. We did actually buy a pyramid-shaped rock. It's blue. I don't know what it actually is. It's pretty to support the the Bedouin tribes are kind of up there. They have little stalls, and you can buy tea, and you can buy they have some spheres, they have some other polished rocks, but first of all, I don't have that one at my house, and secondly, this one is one that I just picked up. Again, I did ask. There were plenty of rocks there, and it is a sacred site, but I didn't pick this up from the top. I picked it up down from the bottom, really kind of right in the desert. So, and it's just a plain old rock. It's not a gem or anything. It doesn't have any fossils or anything, but it actually was really helpful for me to carry in my hands. My hands were getting swollen, and I don't know if you know this trick, but if you're hiking and you've got a rock and you can kind of keep moving it in your hands, it helps keep your hands from getting too swollen. So this rock, for my hardship, for something that was, honestly, I didn't expect it to be as meaningful as it ended up being. I didn't think that this Lenormand was going to be my style. It wasn't what I was looking for, but I love that I have it. So that is my answer to prompt 3. And now we're on to prompt 4. I have to rearrange things over here. And this prompt says, what is a deck and rock that someone gave you or you gifted yourself for a special occasion that makes it extra special to you? And here I have the Wildwood Tarot. And I actually have the book, A Year in the Wildwood. And then I have two stones here. This one is Botswana agate, and this one is serpentine stone. See, it's little, look at how pretty these are. And all of these were a birthday present from my friend Shanna over at Sincerely Shanna D. And we had exchanged some emails. I had bought a deck from her, and then we had talked about this one. It just wasn't, I had wanted this. We'd kind of talked about it, but I hadn't pulled the trigger yet. And she sent me this as a birthday card. She put me a little note in here, and she included these stones in it. And it's just perfect. This is still a little aspirational for me. I haven't spent a year following this this deck. It's kind of got its own system. It starts at Imulk and then it works through. And this is a deck by Mark Ryan and John Matthews, and then the illustrations are by Will Worthington, who's done quite a few other Druidic decks. And this is the Wildwood. There is also the okay, my brain is not working, but there's a new one with Mark Ryan and Jessica Potter. It's a new edition. I haven't gotten mine yet. It was out on Kickstarter last year, over a year ago, and it's been a little bit of a process getting it. So these were sort of the two, and I don't know why my brain won't think of it, but I love Will Worthington's art. Jessica Potter's art is really interesting too, but I really am drawn to Will Worthington's, and I think this deck is amazing. Again, I've worked with it a little bit. I've looked at it, I've read about it, I've maybe done 2 spreads with it, but I am at some point going to, look at these. I'm actually going to use this book. So it does come with a book, right? That's, got all the meanings. But then there's this separate book by a different author, Alison Cross. And this is A Year in the Wildwood. And it's a deeper dive, right? And it's a little bit like a deck and walk, but with the Wildwood Tarot. And I'm really excited to do it. So that's probably going to be on my to-do list next year. I'm doing a deck and walk this year, and I'm doing some more traveling, and so this deck will probably get more play then. Again, this is not a new deck, but it's extra special to me because it was a gift from Shanna, and Shanna was one of my first tarot friends that I met over here on YouTube, and I just love it. I love her content, I love this deck, I love the connection, and I love making more tarot friends. So there you go. All right, then I have one more. Oh, and I don't know anything about Botswana agate and serpentine, except, first of all, how beautiful. I don't know if you can see how beautiful the colors are and the spots. And Shanna just said she sent these to me because she thought that they went with the deck. And I think she is exactly right. This one, this Botswana agate, when I hold it, it's so smooth and it's so nice. It feels very calming. And this one, this serpentine, again, I have not looked them up and worked with them in any actual way. I'm just learning more about crystals. I only have a few. I'm getting more. But this one feels a little more protection, and maybe it's just because it's called serpentine, and I think of snakes and serpents throughout the ages as being guardians, protection, and also, right, they shed their skin. They're sort of a renewal. So I think that these are really perfect to go with my Wildwood Tarot. So thank you, Shanna. All right, so those are the end of the 4 prompts, but I do have one more that kind of really fits all of these, and it's actually 2. And these are 2 decks that go with my sobriety journey. And you can totally skip this if you're not interested. I'm not a preachy, sober person. My beautiful partner, she's not sober. She drinks wine. I don't have any issue with that. And I just, you know what? I realized that alcohol was causing me problems. So it was keeping me from being the creative, spiritual person I wanted to be in the world. And so I stopped drinking, and I found community, and I have all this wonderful stuff that's come into my life as a result. One is that I also have a partner in sobriety that I work with tarot, which is really fun. And we use this deck. This is called the Naked Heart Tarot by Jillian C. Wild, and the cards are beautiful. They're different. They do follow Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, but they don't use, well, this one is pretty reminiscent of the imagery with these wands, but a lot of them don't. There's a lot of white space, and they use different animals or different other sort of familiars, right? This is the quote-unquote Hierophant card, the Sage, and I love these. I love the visual. I love the white space. I love the, oh, look at that High Priestess. Isn't she beautiful? There are sigils in here too that are really lovely. And of course, I told you I have a thing for whales and an octopus. And so for the court cards, it's one type of animal, and it starts as sort of the juvenile version, and it goes through until the oldest, wisest version of this. And this is the spirit. This is the king card here. So I love these cards so much. I use them every day. My recovery partner and I, we draw a card. We each have this deck, and so we talk on the phone or we text and draw a card, and then we talk about how it impacts our recovery, right? Our life, our creative part. So it's kind of fun to do a daily draw with somebody else. Keeps me interested in it, and then I do my other cards all by myself. So one of the things I like to point out about this deck is that it has the message for the meaning is very much in an affirmation style, right? So it says things like, although the sensation of being guarded may feel like it's keeping me safe, it is holding me back from what I truly desire. As I choose to reset my energy and call back my stamina and the faith that brought me here, I'm one step closer to achieving my goals and the things that align with my spirit. That's for the 9 of Wands, right? This perseverance, that exertion, that resilience. Resilience is, I think, is kind of an interesting one for, we often see the 9 of Wands as, someone who's really trudging. They're almost there. So it's definitely, it has an affirmative voice. And I have a stone that goes with it. You might not be surprised at this. This is a little piece, a little slice of amethyst. And amethyst is a great stone, a crystal for sobriety. It's spiritual clarity. It is sobriety. It is that sort of protection and temperance. And then also, I have this, I don't know, I thought it was a little moonstone, but I think it might just be plain old generic feldspar or something. Found it on the beach when my recovery partner and I were walking not long ago, and it just sparkled from the ocean, from the coast, and it was just so pretty and lovely, and just knew it had to go here with our recovery deck. Then the other deck that I have that I associate with my recovery, even though it's kind of not exactly the same, is this it's the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck by Kim Kranz. And when I first got this deck, and these are fun cards, and I have I have all the Kim Kranz decks, and I have the big ones and the little ones. This one doesn't have a little size. It only comes in the big size. I wish there were a smaller version of it, because it is, when I do a reading, it's hard to work with. I need a lot of room. But I love this. I know nothing really about alchemy. I've read about it, but really it's bizarre to me. The ceremonial magicians and the alchemists from the ages is just fascinating. And the reason that this is associated with my sobriety is I was pretty newly sober, just a couple of months. I got this deck, was very excited about it, and went to a restaurant, just take myself out to lunch, and I read the book. Oh my gosh, when I started reading the book, I just wanted to be a Kim Kranz devotee. And I was feeling really strong in my creativity and in my magic and in my sobriety. And for the first time, I ordered a sort of alcoholic drink without alcohol. I got a virgin margarita. And that may not seem like a big deal to you, but I actually had a concern, like, what if having something like that just makes me want to drink again, makes me want to be stupid, makes me go back to my old ways. And you know what? I just said, you know what? I'm not going to live in fear. If I feel pulled towards that, I just know I'm going to say no. I'm not going to do it. And then I just won't ever have one again. And I have to bring this, the little piece that's associated with it is I have this, they brought me this crazy fun big glass with this little duck, and she had they had like a little umbrella and some sugared, I don't know, orange or rind or something in the glass to make it pretty. But here's this little rubber duck in my, fake margarita, and it just tickled me. It just made me laugh so hard. And she kind of swims in her pond of mini dice. I do use dice in my readings sometimes, and I definitely, she just always, whenever I pull out this alchemy deck, I have this crazy little duck. And I just thought about that alchemy of turning something base into something higher. And I just realized that I was doing a sort of spiritual alchemy with my life, and I just don't have any worries about it anymore. So even though I don't use this deck very often, and even though I don't really understand what's going on with it when I do, I think it is really cool. And I love that association of me kind of stepping into my strength, stepping into my magic, working with cards that were a little intimidating but fun, and drawing, and knowing that I don't have to be perfect. Like, I don't have to be an alchemist to get things out of these cards. I don't have to do them, lay them out, or work with them exactly 100% the way she created them. I mean, she created them. These are just little versions I use for my journal. That's like a reading I did recently. Oh, I put them in the wrong half. I do that all the time. Do you do that with your deck sometimes? Put them in the wrong half of the box. Anyway, so I love this deck. I love the lessons that I got from it, and it's just associated with those, that recovery, that spiritual place. I do use my cards as spiritual reflection. I use them for fun. Sometimes I just use them to be silly. I use them to connect with other people, and I have all these trinkets that go with them. So those are my stories. Thank you so much for being here with me and letting me play with my decks and share my stories about where I've been and how I use my cards and what they're connected to. I would love to see yours. Thank you, my friend Wilderness Whispers ASMR, for creating this fun tag. And I love my cards, and I love being here on YouTube, and I can't wait to see more of your videos. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.